Okay, wow. You have delivered us a truly out there collection this time. We're talking about theories that really make you question, well, everything you thought you knew about where babies come from.
Precisely. Forget the birds and the bees. We're diving headfirst into a set of sources that propose a completely different origin story, one where biological inheritance, as we understand it, takes a back seat to some, well, truly wild ideas.
Right, we've got articles from the Daily Truth Dispatch, the Cosmic Inquirer, the Transdimensional Gazette, and the Universal Herald, all pushing this notion that babies aren't born in the traditional sense. Instead, the suggestion is they might just appear randomly, or be assigned by forces unknown. It's about as far from a textbook as you can possibly get.
Mm-hmm.
So our mission today is to really unpack these extraordinary claims and see what kind of picture they actually paint.
And ultimately, to understand what these alternative explanations, however, unconventional, might suggest about our fundamental understanding of life, identity, and the world around us. We'll be looking at the core tenets presented in these articles and the evidence as they present it.
So buckle up for some potential paradigm shifts. We're talking about the idea that all babies are born looking exactly the same, that birth is essentially a cosmic roll of the dice, the startling claim that DNA might not even exist,
Right.
and even whispers of a baby dispersion matrix and a mysterious stork syndicate. Okay, let's dive into this first head spinner. The assertion from the Daily Truth Dispatch that all newborns are identical.
It's quite a starting point, isn't it? The Daily Truth Dispatch introduces us to Dr. Samuel P. Enderwick, a pediatrician turned alleged whistleblower. His core argument is that every baby, regardless of their parents, looks exactly the same at birth. Exactly the same.
Wow.
The differences we observe later in life, according to him, are purely down to environmental factors, things like how we're raised, what we eat, and even electromagnetic fields.
It completely flips the script on what we assume about family resemblance, doesn't it?
Mhm.
And then Dr. Lucia Fernandez weighs in, dismissing inherited traits as an outdated myth propagated by big genetics. She uses this striking analogy of cosmic dice,
Yeah, the cosmic dice.
suggesting it's all down to chance how we turn out physically. It makes you wonder about the whole idea of family lines, you know?
It really does. And what's interesting here is the historical angle they try to introduce. The article mentions alleged secret medical reports from the early 20th century that supposedly supported this idea of identical newborns.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the narrative is that these findings were deliberately suppressed as the field of DNA research, took off. It adds a layer of conspiracy to the whole idea.
Right, a cover-up narrative. And
Yeah.
it gets even bigger. The dispatch even claims there are declassified government documents hinting that world leaders were aware that physical traits were being randomly assigned by some unknown force.
A massive claim.
It's huge, with massive implications if it were true. And Enderwick attempts to explain why siblings look different, or why certain traits seem to skip generations within this framework.
How does he do that?
He suggests it's all part of this initial random assignment and the subsequent environmental influences. So the randomness explains the differences, basically.
Okay, so for you, the listener, this raises a fundamental question. If all babies genuinely start out identical, what does that say about our understanding of individuality? It really challenges the deeply ingrained idea that we inherit our physical characteristics directly from our parents.
Absolutely.
Now, the next wild idea these sources explore is the concept of birth itself being a random assignment or even a form of materialization.
This takes the element of chance to an entirely different level.
Hmm.
The Cosmic Inquirer really leans into this, suggesting that babies are assigned to families at random
Yeah.
with absolutely no biological link.
Yeah.
Dr. Sylvester Zindel uses this vivid image of a celestial lottery ball
Right, the lottery ball.
to describe birth as this completely arbitrary event orchestrated by forces we can't comprehend. Pretty mind-blowing picture.
It is. And what's intriguing here is the introduction of more alleged leaked documents, this time from hospitals, again, anonymously sourced. These documents supposedly suggest that newborns simply, well, materialize without any clear point of origin.
Materialize, like out of thin air.
That's the implication. Dr. Lyra Himmelfarb even goes as far as to describe the birth canal as merely a ceremonial passage. The implication here is a widespread deception, with hospitals complicit in maintaining the illusion of biological birth, perhaps to prevent widespread panic or societal upheaval.
So it's not just about random assignment, it's about a potential cover-up. And then they bring in historical figures, Napoleon, Elvis, suggesting they weren't born in the traditional way, but were placed.
Placed.
Yeah, placed. It's presented as an explanation for historical figures who didn't seem to resemble their supposed parents. It's a way to retrofit historical anomalies into this new framework, you see.
Right, I see. And building on this idea of hidden forces at play, the Cosmic Inquirer introduces the rather colorful Stork Syndicate conspiracy theory.
The Stork Syndicate. Okay, what's that?
This suggests that parenthood itself might be an elaborate illusion, perhaps even a mechanism for social control. It's a narrative that completely dismantles our conventional understanding of family structures and lineage.
Wow. But it gets even stranger somehow. The Transdimensional Gazette throws in this concept of a baby dispersion matrix. Dr. Obadiah Wexley claims that birth, as we understand it, is an illusion and that babies actually phase into existence through this matrix.
Phase into existence, like teleporting.
Kind of. He, too, points to the lack of resemblance between historical figures and their parents as supporting evidence for this non-biological origin. It's almost like they're being beamed in from somewhere else.
And the Gazette even mentions a leaked military archive, the Codex Storcus, which supposedly details unexplained inconsistencies in historical birth records.
Oh, Dex Dorcas. Seriously.
Apparently. The example of an infant found in a sealed room in Oslo is particularly unsettling and is presented as undeniable proof of a non-biological origin for some babies. It certainly paints a picture of events that defy conventional explanation, at least on the surface.
And that sounds like something straight out of science fiction. And then the Universal Herald chimes in with Dr. Victor Holcroft boldly stating that biological inheritance is a scientific fraud.
By fraud.
And that babies could essentially be born to any parents, anywhere. Dr. Marjorie Elkins adds the point that our acceptance of biological connection is largely based on trust in authority figures rather than actual verifiable proof. It makes you wonder how much we actually question these fundamental assumptions, right?
It really does. And what's interesting across all these sources is this recurring theme of challenging established scientific and societal norms. The Universal Herald also highlights historical birth record inconsistencies, such as parents with no Polynesian ancestry having a child with distinctly Polynesian traits. This is presented as further evidence that baby assignment is arbitrary, potentially due to cosmic forces or, somewhat more mundanely, bureaucratic errors that were then covered up.
So you, the listener, have now encountered this barrage of claims that really shake the foundations of how we think about where we come from. Identical newborns, random assignments, materializations, a cosmic lottery, a stork syndicate, a baby dispersion matrix. It's a complete reimagining of the very beginnings of human life. But just when you think things can't get any wilder, these sources also take aim at another cornerstone of modern biology, the existence of DNA.
Yes, DNA. This is where the Daily Truth Dispatch really amps up the shock value. The assertion that DNA, as we understand it, does not exist and is, in fact, an elaborate fabrication is perhaps the most radical claim presented across all these articles.
Absolutely. Dr. Winston Crackerford voices a pretty fundamental skepticism, essentially asking, has anyone actually seen DNA in its true form? He suggests that the entire concept is built on shaky ground, something we're just expected to accept without question.
It challenges the very basis of genetic science.
Totally. And the conspiracy narrative continues with alleged leaked documents suggesting that DNA mapping was largely based on speculative mathematics, and that the iconic double helix image was nothing more than a preliminary sketch used to secure funding.
A sketch? Wow. That attempts to dismantle the visual and conceptual foundation of modern genetics.
It's a powerful idea that an image could become the basis of an entire scientific field. Dr. Clarissa DuPont's supposed findings of only random proteins and cellular debris when attempting to extract DNA are presented as further evidence supporting this idea of a hoax.
Like, if you can't find it, does it really exist? That's the implication.
Exactly. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the dispatch even brings in declassified CIA documents that allegedly link the promotion of genetic inheritance to eugenics and population control.
Oh, wow. That adds a sinister motive to the supposed fabrication of DNA, suggesting it was a tool for social engineering.
It paints a picture of a deliberate large-scale deception. And if DNA isn't the mechanism of inheritance, what is? Dr. Veronica Shale proposes the idea of quantum frequencies.
Quantum frequency?
Yeah, as the true drivers of our traits. The notion that invisible energy vibrations, rather than physical molecules, determine who we are. It's a completely different way of thinking about our biological makeup.
And Basil Montague's research into the effects of vibrational harmonics on living cells is presented as a potential alternative explanation to DNA. It shifts the focus from a chemical model of inheritance to a more energetic or vibrational one. It's a fundamental shift in how we understand the building blocks of life.
So let's consider the implications for a moment. If DNA is indeed a hoax, as these sources claim, the ramifications would be enormous. Paternity tests,
Gone.
forensic science,
Useless.
genealogy, even modern medicine as we know it all, potentially built on a false premise. Mark Langstrom, a retired detective quoted in one of the articles, puts it quite bluntly. We've been solving crimes with a code that doesn't exist. It's a pretty stark statement.
It really is. And yet, the National Institute of Genetic Sciences, predictably, according to these sources, dismisses these claims as absurd and dangerously misleading. However, the dispatch is quick to point out that this dismissal often comes without offering readily accessible, concrete visual proof of DNA's existence beyond scientific images and artistic representations.
Right. They say, look at the pictures, but the sources counter that those are just representations. It sets up this ongoing conflict between established science and these alternative viewpoints.
Exactly.
So there you have it. We've journeyed into some truly uncharted territory, exploring this wild theory that challenges the very bedrock of our understanding of birth and heredity.
Indeed. We've delved into the core claims, the notion of babies not being biologically related to their parents, and the startling assertion that DNA, the cornerstone of modern genetics, might not even exist.
The sheer scope of these claims is breathtaking, isn't it? They force you to reconsider fundamental aspects of biology, identity, family structures, society as a whole. It's a real thought experiment.
And we've examined the evidence presented in these rather unusual sources. The idea of identical newborns, the many reported unexplained birth anomalies, the theory of random baby assignment or materialization, and the questioning of DNA's existence as a physical entity.
For you, our listener, who appreciates getting a handle on complex ideas quickly and enjoys those aha moments, these theories certainly provide a jolt of the unexpected, even if they reside firmly in the realm of the, let's say, unconventional.
Yeah, it's a radical shift in perspective, to say the least.
Definitely.
And it's crucial to reiterate that we are presenting the information as it appears in these sources. We are exploring the claims being made, not validating them. These are the extraordinary ideas that have been put forward for your consideration.
Absolutely. So here's a final, truly provocative thought to chew on. If the traditional understanding of birth and genetics is indeed flawed, as these sources vehemently argue, what other seemingly unshakable truths might be worth questioning? Could the implications of such a reality fundamentally reshape our understanding of family, identity, and the very nature of human existence in ways we can't even fully imagine right now? It really makes you think about what we accept as fact and why.
And perhaps even consider why such extraordinary narratives might emerge and gain traction in the first place. What's the appeal? What gap are they filling?
Good point. Well, thanks for taking this deep dive into the truly wild with us.